Homogeneous ground glass appear in the peritoneal cavity. A ground glass appear in the peritoneal cavity. What finding will get in case of paralytic ileus? In case of paralytic ileus, as the gut doesn't move, there will be loops of gut material within the abdomen, and you need to differentiate renal colic and colic of the gallbladder by doing plain X-ray. Similarly, in case of acute appendicitis also, you will get the appendix, large appendix attached to the ascending colon. And in intestinal obstruction of sigmoid volvulus, like sigmoid volvulus, you will find enlargement of the sigmoid colon. There is swelling of the sigmoid colon. So all these findings preliminary you can guess from the straight X-ray abdomen. Therefore, straight X-ray abdomen is invaluable. Straight X-ray abdomen is invaluable in diagnosis acute cases of abdomen. Straight X-ray abdomen is invaluable in diagnosis acute cases of abdomen. Right? Now you need to know some features so that you can diagnose such cases. What are the features that we will find in straight X-ray abdomen? Let me draw a picture. Wow, very good. Thank you. This is the iliac crest. This is the sacrum with anterior sacral foramina. This is the symphysis pubis. Alright. Above you can see the lumbar vertebra, the psoas shadow, the impression of the kidney and the splenic shadow. This comes in the straight X-ray abdomen. Next, you can see this is the sacrum with anterior sacral foramina. This is the stomach with Fundic gas shadow. This is the laser curvature. This is the first part of duodenum, which is called duodenal cap. Then it is the second part, then goes to the third part, and there is this part is the duodenojejunal flexure. Right? So Fundic gas shadow, laser curvature, greater curvature. This is the duodenal cap or the first part. This is the second part. This goes to the third part, and that is the duodenojejunal flexure. Alright. In case of acute abdomen, that is in peptic perforation, typhoid perforation, rupture of hollow viscous, paralytic ileus. In this case, we need an acute pancreatitis. In all these cases, to diagnose, we need at first is a straight X-ray abdomen. Alright. And we must know what are the features we will get after doing the straight X-ray abdomen. Right. Now, that is, as I have told, the rupture of hollow viscous, perforation, paralytic ileus. But in this case, what we don't do, for uremia, diarrhea, we are unable to do such X-rays. Alright, because we need to expel the flatus. We need to expel the flatus and fecal material from the abdomen. Otherwise, the shadow will be overlapped by the gas shadow. Understood? We need to expel the gas from the gut. Otherwise, there will be overlapping gas shadow. Alright. What we do, we do not give, usually we do not give any food, and we give purgative, usually the castor oil. Nowadays castor oil is not given, but milder purgative, that is senna. You have ever heard the term senna? You have ever heard the term senna? No. The castor oil is not given today. Senna is given and Dalcolax is given. Right? So after we give 24 to 36 hours earlier, we put the purgatives, and purgatives containing calcium, magnesium, bismuth is not given because this causes flaking of the stool material. That's why purgatives containing medicines containing calcium, magnesium, bismuth is not given. Right? After giving this purgative, half hour 1 hour, 1.5 hour after the photographs is taken. Photographs is taken. And if photographs again shows gas saddle, then we put him under purgative once more. All right. We put under purgative once more. And once it is clear, then we will take other field. Sometimes we give colonic wash. Sometimes we give, if we are examining for the colon, and we can give colonic wash. 1.1 to 1.5 liter of water, plain water or sodium chloride is passed through rectum, and the material is, and the abdominal material comes out. Then we do further X-ray to see whether what is the gut condition, whether the gut is perforated or not, like this, whether there is any pancreatic problem, whether there is any gallstone, whether there is any renal stone. All these things are provisionally diagnosed and excluded out. Understood? Next, we need to know that X-rays are taken following contrast media put into the abdomen. Contrast media put into the abdomen, and that is the barium sulfate. That is the barium sulfate that we put into the abdomen and take photographs. Barium sulfate, 125 milligram of barium sulfate is mixed with 180 ml of water. All right. If further investigation is needed, then we add further amount of barium sulfate as well as water. All right. So 125 milligram of barium sulfate is added with 180 ml of water. Right. Together with vanilla and saccharin is added so that it is sweetened and having good smell, and the person is made to ingest the material. And after the initial photos are taken out, we give him 50 gram of butter, 2 bread and 250 ml of milk, so that we can see whether the gallbladder is able to contract. Gallbladder is with the fatty milk, whether the gallbladder is able to contract, right? And we take serial photographs, to see the condition of the gallbladder, whether it is swelled or it is contracted, right? After seeing the gallbladder shadow, we take several photographs if we want to see the colon, appendix, that is ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, sigmoid colon. If we are interested in looking at these structures, then we take further photograph giving barium sulfate. When we do this barium enema, we can put the patient under barium enema also. And when we do barium meal, at first, if we do the X-ray, we will take the X-ray of the esophagus. What we will get? X-ray of the esophagus, right? The lower part of the X-ray that gives rise the appearance of rat tail appearance and irregular appearance. Irregular appearance gives us the idea that there may be cancer. there may be cancer. And if we look for the ascending colon, transverse colon, sigmoid colon, alright, and the rectum is emptied by the colonic vasa. Rectum is emptied by colonic vasa, and we take further photograph, right, and examine the photograph and provisionally diagnose what is the case, and provisionally diagnose what is the case, whether it is a case of peptic perforation, typhoid perforation, acute intestinal obstruction, acute pancreatitis. This will be provisionally diagnosed and excluded out. Right? ছেড়ে দাও আজকে কটা বাজে দেখো। You must know what are the features I need to know to diagnose a particular case, all right, whether it is one thing is that we are unable to do barium enema, we are unable to do barium meal examination in case of uremia and diarrhea, because the dye will not remain within the abdomen. The dye will not, barium sulfate will not remain within the abdomen if there is diarrhea or uremia. Understood? Diarrhea, uremia থাকলে barium enemata abdomen থাকবে না, ঠিক আছে? In healthy and stocky type of patient, the stomach is steer horn type. In others, it is slender. In others, it is slender. So after doing X-ray, we need to see number one, position of the stomach, gas shadow, the laser curvature, the greater curvature, the incisura, the pylotic antrum and pylotic canal for stomach only. All right. So you need to know what are the structures and how this to be followed. And in case of what I have said, in case of perforation, there will be homogeneous appearance of the peritoneal cavity. There will be homogeneous appearance of the peritoneal cavity that will give you the clue that there could be perforation. There could be perforation. Got my point? If the peritoneal cavity is homogeneous, it gives you the clue that there could be perforation. Right? Okay. Let me conclude.